everyone, welcome back to TV Guys, the show that talks about your favorite characters like Corey, Sean, and Topanga. I'm Matt,
I'm Brian.
I'm Tammy.
and we are talking about Boy Meets World. Hey guys, happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
That's when this show will be just a little bit after Valentine's. No, actually, you know what? It's probably going to be on Valentine's Day when we have it. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
grab your loved
special.
ones,
Yeah.
grab your love
That's
partner.
special.
And listen to this podcast. That's what you
Listen to
want on
this.
Valentine's Day.
Can I
That's
correct
good
you
one.
on something though already?
What?
I think it's
Uh-oh.
more Topanga.
Can I correct you on something?
Yes.
Underpants.
He's wearing underpants.
Oh man, so we
I
are.
love this show.
This is such a good show, and because like Boy Meets World is one of those shows that just does relationships really, really well, and so we're gonna talk about what are the best relationships in Boy Meets World. But there are like the romantic relationships, but there's also a lot of other relationships in this. So we have like 20 relationships. I didn't count them ahead of time, so don't count.
There's
them.
20.
There are 20. Yes.
Yes.
I
And I came up with
estimated.
them.
Brian knows.
Yes.
So there are 20 relationships we're going to talk about. We're going to list them ranked
Yep.
from bottom, the worst relationship, to the best relationship. And we're going to do this kind of how we've done these sorts of things before, where each one of us will go in order
Yeah.
and we'll pick one, and that'll be the lowest one, and we'll work our way
Yeah.
up from the top. There's
And-
not too much here, so we don't need too many vetoes. So we'll each have like one veto.
Yeah. My prediction is we won't need to use vetoes till about halfway up, is my prediction.
Yeah.
I could
That's
see
too
us not
complicated, man.
needing. Yeah, I could see us not really even needing vetoes because I feel like this list writes itself for the most part.
Yeah.
Give or take
Well,
a little bit of.
So here's the thing. I have my personal preference of what should be number one, but I would any of my top three are acceptable to be number one. If anything other than those three are number one, I will riot.
Yeah,
Also, though, sorry. I had a little bit of trouble. Like the middle ones are all kind of the same for me.
A lot of them, yeah.
Because I didn't know if it was like funniest or most important or
I say whichever's stronger. Like,
Okay.
is that a good pairing in whatever it's trying? Is it succeeding in
That
what
makes
it's
sense.
trying to do? And we don't
Okay,
have
got
every
it.
single character pairing. That would be a lot more. But I mean, even
Yeah.
the characters who were in the same seasons, like, do we really need Minkus and Alan Matthews? No, like anything.
No. But
another-
Minkus, he's the best.
Yeah, actually,
will
Minkus
say-
isn't even on this list. Sorry
There-
for Minkus fans.
No, it's
is-
okay.
There is one relationship I was a little upset that wasn't included because I would put that over a number of other relationships, and that would be between Sean and Alan because I really
Oh.
like.
Oh, that's a good
like
one.
that connection point that they have.
Mhm.
That would be within the top 10, I think, for me.
No, I
because-
completely missed that. I would have put that on the list. When I sent you guys the list of that I made up, you guys could have suggested more add-ons and stuff.
True, and I didn't think about it till
yeah.
today.
I do have some honorable mentions, but that's way better than my two.
Well,
And
yeah.
then we also don't have Sean and Feeney. And even though the Sean and Feeney relationship isn't quite as big as some of the other Feeney relationships, there still is that degree because Sean is just one of those characters that he struggles with his relationship with his dad and then has struggled with other father figure or like male relationships. And to see that there is still positivity in how he interacts with Feeney and how he interacts with Alan, I think that those are great.
When I first made this, obviously there were way more on lists, and I had like everybody and Feeney. But it was like, okay, we don't need everybody and Feeney, you know.
No.
I mean, I think Corey has the most because he is the titular boy in Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Good work.
It's kind of all is around him. Like everyone interacts with Corey.
Even though Corey was
Yeah.
not my favorite character, Eric was my favorite character. And listening to the Pod Meets World podcast, Eric Friedel seemed like a really awesome, like genuine guy in real life. So
You just said Eric Friedel.
Well, Eric Friedel. Yes, Eric Friedel. Will Friedel
Will
/
Friedel.
Eric is my favorite on and off camera.
Tammy,
Yes,
what would
he's-
you? Okay,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just agreeing.
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
who is your favorite character on Boy Meets World? But before we get into
My
relationships,
gosh. Sorry, I'm having technical issues. I don't know. I hate picking favorites. It's too hard. I mean, Eric definitely for the comic relief. But I feel like towards the end of the series, he got very like,
they kind of decided,
weird,
they decided that he's not going to be a real person anymore. He's going to be a cartoon.
Yeah, like which is still it was still funny.
I love
like,
season 3 and 4, Eric. That's the sweet spot where he's goofy, but still like has a lot of heart and he has good storylines.
Yeah, not just like random fillers.
Yeah. How about you, Matt?
It is a hard question for me too. There's a case to be made for a number of them, but I'd probably put like Eric is my favorite for comedy, but I think my favorite character period would be Feeney. He's just a really well-rounded character, and the wisdom that he has in the show is really strong and was formative for me.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And he's still around at 90 something.
I know, that's
still doing it.
We should have invited him on the podcast. What the heck?
I know.
Why can't you get him, Brian?
Yeah, you know what? William Daniels, if you're listening and you want to come on the podcast, open invitation.
I mean, we're pretty cool.
Wait a second. Let's talk about this. I don't know if I want William here or not. No, we would love that. Yeah. All right, we didn't go with like some sort of order. We've like randomized this before, but I'm okay going last. I'm okay putting Tammy, our guest, first to pick.
Oh boy,
Brian, you can go second.
All right.
So Tammy,
okay.
Worst relationship.
The worst one on our list.
Okay. Well, I will preface this by saying some of them I just didn't care about, so that's all right. I didn't think added anything to the show really. So, worst, you said, right? We're starting with worst.
Yep.
Turner and Phoebe.
Oh, that would be about halfway up on mine.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not going to waste a veto, but
yeah, I don't waste a veto. I probably have way more. You guys, there's a lot of people out here. Okay,
I know, but it was really interesting when they brought Turner in season 2, and he was like the juxtaposition of like these two guys both care about the kids. They both want to instill learning, but Feeney is very like traditional, old school teaching, and Turner like assigns an X-Men comic to teach literature, and it's just,
that is true.
Yeah,
but I don't like how he just disappeared. I mean, that was stupid.
But that had nothing to do with the relationship with Feeney.
I know, but I don't know. Listen,
they brought him back in Girl Meets World. They confirmed that he's alive, but
yeah, how about that?
I would even put Turner's relationship with who's the other teacher that they had for like a season?
Oh, Eli.
I
would put that relationship because those two like back to back are pretty funny. Like them just commenting on the ridiculousness of the kids.
Yeah. Well, they added those guys in because that's right when Friends blew up and was super popular. It was like, hey, we could do the teen thing and also have it be like Friends and have them be an apartment.
And then you had a little bit of that dynamic with Turner and Feeney too. It's like when Feeney comes in and Sean and Corey are sleeping, and Feeney's like, "Oh, in my class, Mr. Hunter gets the yips."
Yeah.
Okay, touche. That's fair, but listen, there's just too many, so I couldn't.
Okay. All right.
I didn't care about their relationship.
Why did we let her go first?
Yeah, I told you.
What's wrong with us?
Trying to be nice.
Okay, so mine is a relationship they tried too late in the game, and they could have done something with it, which was Angela and Rachel. Now, in the last season, they had those two be roommates, and they tried to get like a girl friendship going on, but it was like too little, too late. They didn't really do anything with them. Like they hadn't been friends outside of like having mutual friends until the very end, and then they tried to like shoehorn them in as best friends, and it just didn't fit.
Yeah, we have a couple of relationships with both with Angela, with Rachel, and then also with the other addition later in the series, Jack. And there wasn't a whole lot of time to develop all three of these characters well. And I feel like Rachel and Angela got more of the short stick. Just because Jack's played by a Lawrence brother who was kind of big at the time.
Yeah.
And so he got a bit more agency, and leaving Angela and Rachel a little shorthanded.
Rachel especially was not written very well. Like she was basically written to be like the object of affection and lust for a while, and then they're like, "Oh, we can give her a girlfriend" at the very end.
Well, that's what I was going to say. As a woman, she basically just was like there to be a sex symbol for teenagers, but she was close to my head too. So you know what? I'm going to veto myself on that last one. And I agree with you, Brian.
Yeah,
Angela and Rachel.
There you go.
Can I do that? Can I veto myself?
Well, we're already off your pick, so your pick's already locked in at the last one.
Oh, I didn't know the rule.
So basically, you choose the bottom, and then I choose the next one, and we kind of work our way up from there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I just made my own 20-1 best. I gotcha.
Yep. So that's why
we should talk about this beforehand.
Well, no, so we each make our own list, but then we go through and we collectively choose, take turns choosing a spot on the list.
Got it.
Okay. You guys can tell we're very prepared. We knew all along how we're doing this.
Fully professional.
Well, me and Matt knew this because we've done this type of ranking twice already before.
I'm still a podcast virgin. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You've been on this podcast before.
One does not count.
True. This is her second time, guys. Second time for Tammy.
Yeah,
Two-time Tammy.
Oh my god.
That's not a good picture.
She's
getting married soon, and that won't be a fun nickname.
Yeah. She's also
better than some I've had.
Also, if some of you guys don't know, Tammy's my cousin, so I'm not going to make these jokes about Tammy.
Yes, please. Okay. Anyway, Matt, what's your pick?
My pick. There's one character that we had that they only have one other pairing in this 20 pairing list, and this character to me is just a weaker character, and that's Morgan. And the only pairing that she has on here is with Eric.
Yep.
And that's probably her best pairing, but even then, Morgan, they just didn't know what to do with outside of maybe the first season.
Well, because
a couple.
Yeah.
And she was so funny. It's not her fault.
Well, there were two Morgans. The first Morgan was only in the first two seasons. They initially, when it was more centered on the family and less like on the friend group, they had Morgan on there more. And there was like a little, a big brother, little sister kind of dynamic they had early on. But then, like as soon as she left and they got the second Morgan on, I don't think those two ever had any scenes together or interacted at all. So I put them on there for those early scenes, and if they had kept that dynamic, it could have gotten better. But they never did anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's times where it's like it's hard to have memorable moments that I'm thinking of with them. And I remember like anything that was memorable was early season, where it's like Morgan's tying Eric's like apron thing before he has to go to work for him and not doing it well, but it's just like she's really cute in how she does it. Yeah. And then like the later teen Morgan or whatever, it's like when Eric is dating that one girl and singer. And then she goes and like he breaks up with her, and then she writes that hate song. So Morgan's like singing it about him.
Yeah,
like, that was funny.
Well, another one of the funniest ones is early on when Eric is using Morgan to hit on girls, and he has her like saying things like, "Hey, you should be with my brother Eric," or whatever it is. And then Morgan goes rogue and says, "Eric said he's going to come to the carnival with me. Take me to the carnival." And Eric's like, "What?" And then Feeney's like, "Your parrot has learned some new words, hasn't she?"
Yeah, they're both good actresses, but the first one was so funny she was really good for a little kid.
Yeah.
And they just didn't write her very well, I don't think.
Apparently she didn't really want to be on the show.
Yes, I have listened to their other podcasts. But I think that she could have been a good character, the other actress, but they just didn't give her anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
all right, so Tammy, we're back to you. So what's the next, the fourth from the bottom?
Oh my gosh. Well, now I'm all confused. So what do I say?
Well, so we have the bottom of the list.
My fourth from the bottom. Okay, my fourth was Eric and Morgan. But
no,
pick your lowest one that has not been said yet.
Yes, and
got it. Okay, Jack and Rachel. Wait. Yeah, Jack and Rachel.
Okay. I had them a couple spots higher, but it's still a decent thing. Again, like they didn't really do that a lot with them.
I just thought it was like, no, yeah, that's okay. I just thought they weren't, I don't know. I just didn't like them. They kind of weirded me out, grossed me out. I didn't like them as a couple. I just felt like a filler, like, I don't know. Like obviously we have to have some of the roommates date. So here you go.
Yeah.
It was like, I just didn't like it.
It started with Eric and Jack fighting over Rachel, and then it's like, who's going to get her? Who's going to get her? It's like, oh, it's Jack. And once they were together, what's going on? I don't know.
Yeah, the relationship that Rachel had with everyone, like there wasn't too much depth, as we had said with her, but the best relationship that she had was with Jack. Yeah. And even then, there wasn't a whole lot because, like, they're not going to put her with Eric because you said it. Eric's a cartoon character at this point. There's not a substance in that relationship. There was very little substance, but there was still something with her and Jack. So it's a little higher than some of the other ones. But Rachel's just such a weak character and nothing for the actress. It's for the writers with her.
Well, in the college years, they basically had, it was like the Corey, Sean, Topanga, Angela was one show, and Eric, Jack Rachel was like a whole other show, and sometimes they would be in the same room or something. But it's like not until you get into like the prank wars and some of the very later ones they started to merge those together. I think if they had merged those together earlier and fleshed out those characters, it could have been better. Which is why I like the middle. Like for me, the sweet spot of Boy Meets World is 3 through 5.
You're right.
People, you mean? Or seasons?
Seasons.
Sorry.
What would 3 through 5
I
be
zoned
for
out
people?
for a second there.
Yes.
Well, because the thought I was thinking in my head is maybe they thought it was too like frenzy, like too big of a group of people, and they wanted to focus more on like a smaller group of people. Also, oh great, my phone battery is low. Also, not to be like rude because I'm all for like women empowerment, but she wasn't even that cute. So I was always confused as to like, why is she like this big, huge, like bombshell? She's like not even that pretty if you ask me. I don't know. You guys are guys.
You heard it here first. Tammy hates women.
Oh, okay. Billy always said that when I was watching it. He's like, I don't understand why they're always fighting for her. She's not that cute.
Yeah, I mean, she's redheaded. No one likes redheads.
Yeah, for sure, Brian. No one
I know I'm married to one, but I'm really only saying this for Brian's benefit.
Just saying.
So you're you're insulting a lot of your own family because is it a lot of Angie's family redheads?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It isn't your daughter a redhead too?
In certain lights.
Oh, that's low.
You see how committed I am to making fun of you, Brian? Throw my family under the bus to get to you.
Also, I'm a pretty good pot stirrer, apparently.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Right. You and your women hating got us to fight each other. Well done.
For woman
all right, so I think it's my turn. My next one is actually not a terrible pairing. From here on out, they're not terrible. Topanga and Eric, because there wasn't a whole lot. There's a couple scenes here and there where they have good, a brother-in-law, sister-in-law pairing. I think they were friends towards the end, but it was just awkward at times, and especially early on. We had that one episode where she was into Eric, which was weird.
Yeah, when she like the first season.
Yeah, when she was like,
little.
Yeah,
that was weird.
Especially she was like 12 and he was like 16.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen that, so I don't remember that very well.
Yeah, basically she had a crush on Eric in the first season, and he had to be like, "Hey, you're little and I'm not," and it's just weird.
And then he tried to date her sister though, so that was a pretty low blow.
Oh yeah,
for a 12-year-old girl.
When she had a sister and then she disappeared. Yes, Sean and Topanga both had disappearing sisters.
Yes. So funny.
Magicians,
Her name was like Tallulah or something.
Yeah.
Some weird thing.
But no, I mean, there isn't really a whole lot to write.
Yeah, there wasn't substance there either.
About Topanga and Eric.
Mm-hmm.
The Eric Topanga relationship actually is a better brother-sister relationship than Eric and Morgan. Or Morgan and Corey, even.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's higher on the list than Eric and Morgan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had that more towards the middle, but I should have had it on the bottom because that's true.
Yeah.
There's no like substance.
Yeah. I don't have any qualms about where this is at. Here's another one that I don't know if it could be controversial. Again, you said there's not any bad pairings left.
Yeah.
So this is maybe one of the weaker of the better pairings is Topanga and Angela. And this is, again, falls on the fact that Angela came in a little later and that we just didn't have as much time with Angela. And I don't think they fleshed out Angela as much as they could have. I think they counted on a lot of her development being her relationship with Sean more than just her as a character.
Well, and they brought her in because, Sean found her purse and found all of her stuff. And she was, and he fell in love with her. And it's like, okay, well, Corey's best friend is dating someone. So, okay, now her and Topanga are friends. And it's like, they were never friends before then. And it's just all of a sudden, it's like they're the best friend pairing. But they didn't.
Yep.
I don't think
she just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
In my opinion, she just came out of nowhere and then they're besties. And let me tell you, because when you're a girl in high school, that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
And that's coming from a certified woman hater. So.
Oh, boy. Just saying. That's not how... I know it's a TV show, but she just came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they were supposed to be besties.
Yeah,
and I found that to be a little.
Angela wasn't a bad character. I actually almost put her and Corey on the list because they had an interesting dynamic for a little bit in season 6 as friends.
Yes,
but yeah, it's just that I mean, if you watch the show out of context and you're just following up, you might think, oh yeah, these two are best friends. They've been best friends the whole time, but no, they haven't.
Right. Okay. Let's see, which ones of mine have it been said? Do we say Angela and Rachel?
Yeah, that was
Yep.
the
Already
second
said that
one.
one? Oh yeah.
I'm keeping track. I'm keeping track as we go.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm like, I need what number are we on?
Let's see. We've done 6 already.
Okay. I had Sean and Turner, but that should be lower down.
You mean higher up or? Yeah.
Yes, higher. I'm very bad at this game. I'm sorry. Only again because like I really like their relationship, but then he just like disappeared.
Okay, well,
Are you vetoing yourself again?
well, you gotta make a pick first, and then we can discuss it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, what I had on my list was Sean and Turner.
So what's next on your list? If you said you're gonna save that for later, so what's your next one?
Eric and Alan.
Eric and Alan. Okay,
Ooh.
I would have had that higher, but
I had that higher.
I want to save my veto though, because if Tammy's going rogue like that,
Listen, I just don't understand the rules of the game. Okay.
Like, I'm just surprised that you have that so low.
this is what it's like playing games with Tammy my whole life.
That is not true, first of all, because I'm really good at games. This is a tough game.
It's not even a game. We're just ranking things. There's no winner.
Listen, work has been really busy. My brain is on too many other things. It's too hard.
So why is Eric and Alan a worse pairing than, say, like you said Sean and Turner, or Sean and Chet, or Amy and Alan?
Relationship. That's all.
They had what?
And I don't think they had a very close relationship, or that it really added a ton. Like there's some episodes that they were close, and they had funny scenes. I feel like overall,
I would disagree, because even back to the very beginning, because we worked with his dad, and then he went with him over to the wilderness store, and they were always buddy buddy, and they had that whole episode where he was buddy buddy, and then it made Corey jealous, and then at the end he had that heart to heart where he was telling him like, so what do you want to do? Like, you can do whatever you want. Eric's like, well, I can't do that either. Remember that whole episode?
Yes, I remember them all. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all good. But I mean, since that's the one we're talking about it. I mean, I think.
Oh, I'm just bad at ranking. That's what we just established. Okay.
Okay. No, it's all good.
It's a good thing we invited you to an episode where we're going to spend the entire time rating things.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know until now.
So, I mean, Matt or Tammy, do you have any other thoughts about the Eric Allen relationship?
I mean, that episode you mentioned is a really good episode, and it was the first, like, it was one of the last, like, really deep things I think we had with Eric, because he was still in that sweet spot that you're talking about, but he was getting pretty close to getting into cartoony territory.
Yeah.
But for him to like be at this museum, and then they're looking at this piece of art and his interpretation of it about a dad father monkey who has only one coconut and trying to figure out how to split it between his two sons, and like this connection point between Eric getting it in a deep way through art with his dad. It was like, what a unique thing, and that was a great moment. And then I also liked the one where I don't remember what was going on in the episode, but I remember at the end of the episode at the wilderness store where he's like, Dad, you lied to me. You said that someday you're not always going to be here, but I remember everything you said, and so you'll always be with me. And like his dad's tearing up as he's saying that, and like those are really good moments.
Yeah, I love when those two are in the wilderness store. I mean, I wish they used that set more. Like, they used it a lot just in season 4. Then it came back a couple times, but then they just kind of dropped it.
Yeah.
That was a funny set.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want you guys to rank them, and I'll just comment on you.
No, it's good.
That works.
I'm doing a bad job.
All right, next.
What I would like to add to that. Good.
You know what? I'm going to change up my own ranking a little bit on the fly. And the next one I'm going to choose is going to be Sean and Jack. Because they were an interesting dynamic. But, I mean, aside from a couple episodes, they were like, hey, you have this brother. But then, like, almost immediately, like I said, that's when they split the show. It split the show into 2 different shows. And Jack was always off with Eric and Rachel. And it's like, it seemed like after a while they forgot that they were brothers until they needed another big emotional moment, like when Chet died, they came together. But even after that, he had his big emotional road trip moment with Corey, not with Jack.
Yeah.
I was really close to that too. Or the same area.
Yeah.
That's a really good point to point out here. I feel like Sean, like as great of a character as Sean is, I have like him in the next three, like on the
Yeah.
list. It's Sean is one of these relationships,
Mhm.
and so like all of his relationships outside of the one with him and Corey, just in a way blend together.
Yeah.
And
Well, not
Sean
there's one other one that's higher for me, but we'll get to that.
yeah. But Sean and Jack was fine and it had some moments, but overall you're right that the writers gave this hook but abandoned that hook pretty quickly.
Yeah, it started out strong when he came back and like, "What are you doing here?" I just wanted a brother, and like they set it up, and they said there were a handful of episodes that you could cherry pick them and watch those in a row and think they have a great relationship, but those are spaced out amongst a lot of episodes of forgetting they're even related.
Yeah. But the Sean Corey brotherhood is so much stronger of a brother
Yep.
relationship. So having a Sean Jack brother relationship is redundant. And yet, weirdly enough, having an Eric Jack brother relationship
Yeah.
worked. I don't know why that worked more than the Sean Jack,
Yeah.
but it ended up
Well,
working well.
we'll get to it, but Eric and Jack is obviously higher on the list.
Yeah.
I think Jack and Sean just needed to be more developed. There needed to be more storylines together to actually develop the relationship instead of just pushing them together and being like, okay, you're brothers, so be best friends. Like
Yeah.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up for me, and like I said, it's gonna be a Sean one, and that's Sean and Angela, and their
Okay.
relationship. It's not bad, but it's not great. And now we're at this point where it's like we have a lot of really, really solid relationships,
Yep.
and Sean and Angela's relationship doesn't have all of the same heights and the same peaks as some of these other ones. I did like, and this Angela wasn't even in this scene, but I did like that final episode with Angela when her dad comes to pick her up, and then Sean like is talking to her dad and is like, "Well, what if I ask her to marry me?" And he's like, "If you're ready for that kind of commitment, I'll step aside." But like he threatens him in a non-threatening way where it's like
Hmm.
you've got to know that this is what you want and this is who you're going to be because
Yeah.
if it's anything short of that no, we can't do it. She deserves better.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, some of the Sean and Angela relationship can be very good and very realistic. But yeah, I kind of agree with his placement here.
I had pretty much all my Sean ones right in the middle, so yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's stay on the Sean train apparently, Tammy. You don't
Tammy,
have to pick a Sean one, but
yeah,
Um, okay, well, I'm trying to think of which ones you've already said. I think it would be Sean and Chet.
that would be next for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, well, again, I don't know, they had such a strained relationship,
Hmm.
but also when I was like thinking about this, I was like, okay, is it funniest? Is it most sincere? Is it most important? I didn't know like
Yeah.
kind of what we were ranking, but I enjoyed like the arc of their relationship.
Yeah.
But there were
Yeah.
better ones. I don't have a good reason. I don't.
It's very good story wise, which is why it's up high, but obviously it's lower because it is so strained. And it's like the Sean and Chet relationship really informs Sean and how he is with everybody in his life, basically.
yeah.
And you see that I feel like Chet cared about Sean, but Chet just didn't know how to like really commit and be what Sean needed, not what he thought Sean needed.
Yeah, especially at that age, a kid needs a stability, and Chet was the opposite of that. And so to show Chet, like he cared, you're right, and he was a nice person, but he wasn't a stable person.
Yeah.
And Sean needed something with stability for where he was at in life.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's where that strain came from.
Because even in that last episode, when Chet was dying, before he died, he was going to leave and go to Las Vegas because he was telling Alan, like, watch over my boys. And Alan's like, of course I will, but I'm not the one they need.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that is one of my favorite episodes, though. But yeah, he needed definitely stability.
Yeah.
And that I think he wanted to be though, like you said, he
Mhm.
has a good. He wanted. He just didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, Matt, you're up.
Oh, that wasn't mine. Oh, okay. No, mine was
Wait, no, that was Tammy.
That was mine.
I'm up.
that's Tammy's.
Never mind, I'm up. Next, I'm going to go with Corey and Alan. So I actually had Corey and Alan below Eric and Alan, but Tammy picked that one. So Corey and Alan, I think they have their relationship was stronger early on when Corey was smaller. You know, they had the episode where, you know, he's like, Superman is my dad, because he realized that his dad, you know, goes to work all day, then comes home and helps around the house. Or when his dad kept him up late watching a baseball game because he wanted to spend time with him. So that
Also,
they're really developing that stuff early on. But then as Corey got older and the parents became less and less part of the show, it's like, you know, there's a one-offs like that Eric, Corey, Alan episode, but there isn't a ton of Corey and Alan. There's that one, and then there's the one where he's driving and he gets a ticket, and Alan has to come save him at driving court.
oh yeah. I had Eric and Alan and Corey and Alan right next to each other for the same reasons. Like they don't really for the
yeah. It's like in the early version of the show, it was a strong relationship.
Yes.
In the later version, Alan needed to be more of a parent to Eric, and I think that's where their relationship gets to be a little higher for me, because you see some of that fatherly stuff. But I think the last like really good father to son moment that he has with Corey is when Corey and Topanga first get married, and Alan refuses to help. And it seems mean at the time, but it was a really good lesson of like, you've made this decision, you're an adult, you've chosen this. And also by not helping, it allowed Corey to learn how to fix something on his own and to be the man in that relationship that he wanted to be. And so to learn how to take care of his wife and to be an adult.
I had mixed feelings on that. Like I get if your adult kid is on your own, like they were like, at that moment they weren't they weren't asking them to like help pay their bills. Like I feel like I would go and help my son like fix a pipe. You know, I would like it's different.
So he was asked, sorry to interrupt, but I think he was asking them if they could live there, they could buy him a house or something.
Well, that was a different point of the episode. I agree with them saying no to that. But then Alan was even like, no, I'm not even going to come help you with your plumbing. Like that kind of stuff. I feel like you can help him with. But I agree with the principle, just not that specific example.
I think to defend him, I would say that Alan probably knows Corey and knew that he needed this. That Corey, he kind of is a little sheltered, even though like he's had plenty of experiences. There was a degree of he needs to grow up and to like really cut that off cold turkey. I get that completely.
Okay, that's fair.
Agreed.
All right, so now it's Matt's turn.
Now it's me. All right, my last, no, not my last Sean one, because there's 3 Sean relationships, but my last of that chunk that I had, as we almost did way long ago, Sean and Turner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I almost want to veto it, but I can't because it's not one of my top 3.
Really?
Didn't I already say that? Or no?
You talked about it, but you didn't actually say it.
It's still in the top 10. We've got 8 ones higher than this, but Sean and Turner, like Turner is I actually like Sean and Alan maybe just a hair more, but Turner is the very intentional father stand-in. Yeah. And you know, he's a reluctant father in the fact of like, this isn't what he signed on for, but he also cares enough to know what Sean needs and wants to do right by him, but knows he can't ever be that father. I think there's a lot that they do really well with it, where he's like, I'm not going to be your dad, but I will do what I can to help you.
Yeah. What I liked is that it was a relationship where you could tell he was kind of the same as Sean. He thought the same way as Sean did. Like the episode where he first was with the Matthews and he was running out and the parents all went upstairs, but Turner knew to go outside and wait outside the window where Sean was going to run out. And it's like that kind of relationship where he can think the way Sean does and he can connect to them on that level. And then you can really see that's in seasons, 2 through 4 were the only ones they had Turner, but those were some of the best ones. And that Sean Turner relationship, I would have had it higher because I really like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's probably because Turner was Sean when he was a kid. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, that's similar to Alan. Alan said that he was also kind of like Sean too.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Their relationship should have been on there. We should do that. That's a really good one.
Again, next time I do one of these and I send you guys a list, send feedback.
Okay, sorry.
No, we just want to sell you down the river on the actual podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'll take responsibility. This whole podcast, this idea of ranking these characters was my idea, and it was my idea to bring Tammy in, so I take responsibility for this
podcast. Mean. Listen, I'm a big fan of the show. I've seen the series a bunch of times.
I know. That's why I brought you in.
Yes, clearly, I'm just not good at this kind of thing.
No, you're good. You make for an interesting podcast, which is what we need.
Okay, good. See, I'm entertaining.
And I can
it's my skill in life.
I can use you being a guest to get some of our cousins to listen to this.
Perfect. Yes, they probably still won't, but I'll make.
I know. I think I can get Carrie.
Funny. Okay, yes.
Hi, Carrie.
What?
I think it's you, Tammy.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. Are we on like top 5 or 6 yet? Because I don't want to mess up. Like
top 8.
Okay. Did we do Sean and Topanga yet?
No,
not yet.
Okay, then that would probably be mine. Yeah. Because it's obviously not like the most important or not like the most. I don't know. They've been best friends obviously as long as Corey and Topanga.
I do think they do Sean and Topanga better than other shows. Other shows wouldn't have the main characters, friend and girlfriend, have any kind of really meaningful connection. But you can see they're actually real friends throughout the series.
Yeah, they're like. I mean, they're like a throuple, basically.
Without the gross stuff. Yes.
Yes.
To the point where it's like. It's a foregone conclusion that nothing's going to happen with them. Like even as we said at the top of the episode, that one episode when Corey acts like he thinks something's going on and the whole underpants. Like that whole thing. Like
it was played up for laughs.
It really was. And we as the audience knew it was like, obviously we knew what was going on, but at the same time we're like, no, that wouldn't ever happen. They're almost like brother and sister.
When there's also a great moment with those two on Sean's first episode of Girl Meets World in the revival, where he walks in and they greet each other and he says, Mrs. Corey, and she says, Mr. Corey.
That's cute. Yeah, it's like their wedding when that was another good episode when they were like fighting over Corey, basically.
Yeah.
That was cute. But which is like a natural part of life, like that's what happens. And it was fun to watch them.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of Scrubs. Like, I don't know what Carla thinks that we're married. Dude, we're a little married. I know. Isn't it wonderful?
I always say the best TV bromance is either JD and Turk or Corey and Sean. And I cannot decide between the two.
I'm going to say Corey and Sean because I don't know the other two.
But the other one has guy love.
That's true.
Well,
they're neck and neck.
They are. Well, what about Troy and Abed? That jumped into the scene, and that's high up.
True. I
don't know who that is either.
Well, let's just pause because this needs to be a whole other podcast.
I feel like we've done this before, though. I thought we've talked about bromance.
We've talked about it, but I really think there's enough out there we can make a whole podcast about. Even if we're not ranking, we're just talking about the best TV bromances on air. Well, they're not live, but this is a new podcast idea is formed. We're gonna do a bromance one eventually.
It's really just those three duking it out.
There's other ones. I think the other ones aren't as strong as those three, but there's other ones around.
And you guys are bromance, right? So perfect. No,
we're
not as good as JD and Turk.
Yeah,
is that Scrubs? I don't know.
That's Scrubs.
I'm gonna have to say Uncle Jesse and Joey.
It'd be on the list. It wouldn't be as high, but it'd be on the list.
No.
Where are we with our rating?
Anyway, I don't know. We are at Sean and
we have 7 left.
Who chose? Sorry, it's my turn. Okay, you chose Sean and Topanga. Yes. Next one, I'm gonna go Corey and Eric.
Okay.
Because it is an interesting dynamic, and I love the fan theory that they say that Eric gets dumber because it's through Corey's eyes. So in the beginning, Eric's the cool older brother, but as Corey gets older, he starts to see Eric like for who he is, and like Eric maybe has been goofy all along.
I like that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
I like that. I only had one other one before that, so I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Because they're a really interesting dynamic, and it's like they're always, I feel like they always have scenes together a little bit in each season, and it's like when they get older, they have their own friends. Eric's got Jack and Rachel, as we said, and Corey's got Sean and Topanga, but when it comes down to it, they're still there for each other.
Yeah, I liked especially early on, like that sort of, it was a very natural brotherly relationship, and like the Sean and Corey relationship is great to see friends, but to see both the love and the animosity of you and your big brother. Like that was really well done.
Yeah.
Where you got both sides of it.
What a big Corey Eric episode is, it's called Brotherly Shove. I think it's in the last season where instead of inviting Eric to go through his own childhood memories, he invites Sean and Topanga, and Eric just walks up on them, and it's a whole like, you're cutting me out of your life when these are our memories, and they have the garage sale where they're fighting and they eventually get into a fist fight.
That's what I was just going to reference. I love that whole arc of them being like, they weren't really friends, which is natural, you know, as siblings, like you fight and then whatever, because it like hit me in the gut. Cause like, I'm sure my brothers won't listen to this, but that's like our, like, you know, I was like waiting and waiting to be friends with my brothers when we grew up, you know, and we like drive each other insane, but I would still obviously. Like,
well, Tammy, also, you know, it's different because your brothers are a lot older than you, than Corey and Eric are.
True. And I'm a girl, but it's still the same. Like,
I know.
It's still like, you know, I thought he was so cool. I mean, he's only 4 years older than me, my youngest of my older brothers.
Yeah.
And I thought he was so cool, you know, and then I like hated him. And then then I just wanted to be his friend. And now I love him because he has Minuthius.
And then he moved across the country and then moved back.
Right. So I kept waiting for him to move back so we could like be friends. And then he got married, but I love my sister-in-law. Now he has babies. So I love, it's all good. Anyway, I like shows
that's Tammy's family history.
I like shows that are relatable. That, you know, when you're, because the show came out when I was a kid, obviously, you know, so you like grow up with it, and it's like, you know, you have those memories of like, oh, this is, you know, I can relate to this. Someone else feels this way. Yeah. Anyway, deep. I got real deep there.
So. Number 6 pick here is on me, and it's Valentine's Day, so the romantic relationship, Amy and Alan, that's my number 6. They are a very good romantic relationship. It's a very good representation of a couple that has 3 kids. Like, there's times when they look like they're just roommates, there's times they look like they're best friends. There's a little bit of them fighting every now and then, but we really don't see that as much because it's not about them. But we do see it through the kids' eyes, and so, like, you know, or the fact that they have to fight to have time together. And so like the whole, when they're sneaking out to do date night together.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That's a good episode.
Again, their relationship was shown more early on when it was the family more. As they said, as the kids got older, not only did we talked about this with Alan, but with like with Amy and Alan, they kind of became even more side characters, and they would really only interact every now and then when they needed the parent perspective to Corey or Eric. Or but then early on, they said all the examples you showed of them having a good relationship and showing how, you know, one thing they talked about in the Pod Meets World contest, or the Pod Meets World podcast is unique to have a show. It's about the kids, but the parents aren't dumb like Disney Channel shows. The parents are dumb characters. Whereas Amy and Alan weren't dumb. They knew what was going on. They were with it. You know, they were the cool going to the Rolling Stones concerts, and they were you know, it wasn't super easy to pull one over on them, but the show was still about the kids.
Because they naturally phased out like you naturally do when you grow up. You know, you move out, you're not there with your parents as much.
Yeah. So we've got 5 relationships left, and those are Eric and Feeney, Eric and Jack, Corey and Topanga, Corey and Feeney, and Corey and Sean. So all of these are really, really strong relationships.
Yes, it's hard at this point.
So Tammy, you got to tell us what's the lowest of those. But also keep in mind, Tammy, you pretty much now by default are going to be able to also pick what's number 1 when we come back.
All right. Well, I was going to say, didn't we already? I thought we already did Eric and Jack, but that's not in my top 5, so I'm going to have to say that one.
Okay.
All right. That is at 5 for me, so this is exactly where I would put it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. They were more in the middle towards me, but for me. I just liked their best friend relationship and their goofy things they did together. It was like Eric finally has a buddy, you know, he's not just the dumb older brother, you know, trying to tag along everywhere. I don't know. And Matthew Lawrence is really hot. So I thought so when I was 12, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't have any thoughts about Matthew Lawrence's hotness.
Sure you don't.
I mean, come on. You can appreciate another man's handsomeness, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, John Stamos is hot.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Now this definitely isn't a Corey Sean bromance, but this actually is a really solid bromance,
Yeah.
and it even has some of that silly, like, because in the '90s, some of the bromance has had a little bit of like they're so in a bromance, like they could be dating, and so they played with that just a little bit with these guys.
Hmm.
So it's like there was the one where they're both cross dressing, and then
Yeah.
like Jack comes off the elevator, and everyone laughs, and Eric just stares at him. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. And Eric's like, well, I do. You took that out of my closet.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Eric is the best.
Yeah. Well, because they were it was almost like the odd couple. They were a good pairing because Jack
Yeah.
was always super serious and
Mhm.
he's like the preppy rich kid and he wanted, whereas Eric by then was like, I'm goofy and fun and I'm awesome, and the
Yeah.
episode where they're both working at the student union
Mhm.
and Feeney got them the jobs. It's like a long Feeney con where it
Yeah,
was
they
like,
needed each other.
yes, because
Mhm.
Jack was being too much of a tightwad, like we're going to make all the money, we're going to be profitable, kind of almost slipping into Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel Air territory. But Eric was all like, I'm awesome and fun. We're gonna make this place a fun place to hang out. And it's like Eric
And I'm
needed
going to give my money to a monkey.
yes, well that ended up not being a con for some reason. The monkey came back with money.
Yes, I know.
But Eric needed to learn responsibility and how to actually be a functioning adult. But
Yes.
Jack needed to learn kind of Eric's whimsical fun and how you can enjoy life.
Right.
And that was
They
also
balance each other out.
yeah.
Like Marlin and Dory in Finding Dory.
Actually, yeah, it's a good
opposites attract.
good pairing. I think you said
That
that
is a
as
good
if it was a
pairing.
ridiculous example, but it's not.
No,
Yeah.
it actually really is.
Yeah.
It's a
I
good
think
example.
I think one of the things that highlights how good this pairing is the episode when they both are dating like the female equivalent of the other person.
Oh yeah.
And so
Mhm.
like,
Oh, yeah.
and then they try and switch and they're like, why would we want to switch? You don't want to have like a sandwich of peanut butter and peanut butter. It's like you want peanut
Right.
butter and jelly. You like having these differences.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And it's like
Opposites
that would
attract.
be tedious and redundant. Like we could look those words up together. It's like, I don't want to be with someone who I can look it up. I want to be with someone who can tell me what they mean.
So good.
We have reservations. We can't just show up, man. Taco!
That's you know why I like Eric so much, because I love Joey in Friends. When you just did that, that reminded me of Joey. They're very similar.
Mm-hmm. They are
Goofy,
very
lovable, big hearts.
similar. Well, I'm happy to be at the number 4 spot because that means
That
all
means
three
you'll
of
get
my
number one.
what I said that one of my top 3 has to be number 1. And you know what? I can do that because I picked number 4, and the only ones left are my top 3. So
Nice.
I'm choosing Corey and Feeney at the number 4 spot.
That's exactly what I had.
That was my number 2.
Ooh,
Wow.
I can respect that as a number 2, just not as a number 1.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
why?
yeah. Well, I mean,
Elaborate, sir.
well, early on, it's interesting because you had the two different sides. You had Corey's like male authority figure from his dad and from Feeney, and Feeney was always the straight laced teacher, but he wasn't like, I'm so ahead of nonsense, I don't care about you guys. Like he went out of his way, not just for Corey, but for all of them, to really try to get into their lives, in their worlds, and teach them and be a good mentor for them. And you really see that early on through Corey, where Corey was just like a rambunctious troublemaker, but Corey kind of like Feeney kind of like favored Corey. And even over Minkus, who was like the teacher's pet, he really had a lot of great one-on-one scenes with Corey. And I feel like even in later scenes, as that pairing became less and less, you could see the influence that Feeney has on Corey.
Yeah,
for sure, man.
We still have Eric and Feeney as a relationship on here, and I like Corey and Feeney over Eric and Feeney, even though that's a very strong relationship. I like Corey more because the whole show is focused on him, and it's not just like Feeney helps Eric a lot, and Feeney's just such a great character. But Feeney also is touched by what Corey brings too, and like being able to see someone that you mentor and that you pour so much into actually receiving it and utilizing it and like constantly seeking it out. It has obviously stuck with Feeney for him to follow Corey through his entire academic journey, and to even get in the final episode when Sean, Corey, and Topanga are like, "Come on, Feeney, you admit it. We're your favorites. You love us, blah blah blah," and he won't say it to them, but like he does admit I love
The end.
you all. I love all three.
I cry every time when I watch that episode.
Yeah.
Every time I cry.
Yeah. Every time.
Every time.
Right.
I agree with all of those things. I think I only put Eric and Feeney before that one because it's so funny.
Yeah,
it is.
And the Feeney call. I mean, come on, that's a relationship, and it's
So Matt, am I right in predicting you're going to make that your number 3?
Yeah, like it's not. Again, it's the top. It's in the top 3, so it's not a bad relationship. But I think the Corey just had a little bit more. But yes, for funny, like Eric and Feeney is a funnier relationship, but it is also just as solid of a mentorship with them because Eric does learn a lot through Feeney. However, there's sometimes when it seems like he's gonna learn, he should be learning something, and then when he regurgitates what he hears Feeney say, and it's way off base.
It's kind of like Tim Allen and Wilson when he's trying to regurgitate Wilson's.
Yeah.
That's
when he's trying to say that to Jill, like after, and she's like, "What does this? I don't understand anything you're saying."
Eric and Feeney was actually my number 1, but I will accept it as number 3 because
you got the humor. My number 3.
You got the humor, but also Feeney never gave up on Eric. There's so many different times, even later on in the season where Alan, actually his own dad was saying like, I mean, I'm a little worried about Eric, and Feeney's like, why? He's like, he's like, no, I don't know. Eric's always been smart. He's always beat to his own drum, and even then, like to his own dad, Eric Feeney always saw the potential in Eric, and he never wavered on that. And then pair that with the comedy and the Feeney call is just A+.
Yes, A++.
That's why I kind of wish we had a Feeney-Sean relationship too, because the same thing with Sean, especially in that Super Bowl episode. When he gives him the assignment to get to the Super Bowl, and then Feeney is like, "There, look at that! There he is!" He saw him in the stands. He believed he could do it. All right, Tammy.
So we're down to Mr. Corey and Mrs. Corey.
Yes, but I have to say first, the Feeney call that Eric does when they're in the college years, and they find out that Feeney likes what's her name, Dean Bolander, who is actually his real life wife.
Yeah,
I laugh so hard. Every time I almost pee my pants. It is the funniest thing.
That's when he goes on and on. He's like,
yes, he's like, oh my gosh, he's so funny. Okay, I love the physical. Him and Corey's like comedy in the show is so funny.
Yeah.
Why are we at number 2?
We're at number 2. So
basically,
is it Corey
number
Topanga?
2, which will by default pick number 1.
Yes. So my number 2 was Corey and Sean. Yes.
Oh,
veto. No, it's Corey and Sean.
That's because you guys are both guys. Of course you'd say that. I am a hopeless romantic, so Corey and Topanga has to be number 1 because they're like the Ross and Rachel, the Luke and Lorelai. They, it's like their journey. So they were little babies, and now they're all grown-ups and married.
I think Corey and Sean is still a better relationship.
Purposes
I couldn't decide. So
of the rules that we've set up, Corey and Sean is number 1. So we'll talk about Corey and Topanga right now, and then we'll talk about Corey and Sean.
Okay. Yeah. You think they have a better relationship than Corey and Topanga?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's sad because they're married, so they need to work on that.
No, they have a fantastic relationship. Corey and Topanga is a wonderful love story.
Yes.
I don't want to take that away because that if we did this again and we didn't have vetoes left and Corey and Topanga were number 1, I wouldn't be mad specifically. Yeah. But
I mean, honestly, I had to. I can't talk. I couldn't decide between Corey and Sean or Corey and Topanga. But I'm a very romantic person, so I had to do the.
Well, on the Corey and Topanga, it was telegraphed early on with that episode, Corey's Alternative Friends, where she pushed up against the lockers and they had their first kiss. Of course, they tried to change the timeline and be like, "Oh yeah, we've been dating since we were 2." Like, no, you weren't. We saw you in grade 6, and you were not.
Yeah, you hated her,
and she was weird. She was crazy.
Yeah. But you really see them like as they get older and they hit puberty and they start to see themselves in that light, and then it is a great relationship, and you see how they really do, like in the Pittsburgh episode where she shows up in the rain and everyone goes, "What?"
Yes. Another one that I cry every time. That's like the Rachel getting off the plane.
But do you forget they spent like half of season 5 broken up because he kissed Linda Cardellini?
Yes. Yeah, but then she kissed another guy. She did the same thing.
Probably why they're not number 1.
I get
Yes,
why they
I
needed to do that
agreed.
split. I get why they needed to do that split, but it still was like, no, that this doesn't work with how they are. Because like Corey
Yes.
was smitten from early on, and there was nothing that would have gotten him. That's why it's such a good love story, and it also shows a testament to how good of a character all three of these are. That it's so hard to decide between the three. But also like specifically for Topanga, because this show is focused around the way that this boy sees the rest of the world, and for you to have a female love interest character that is very well written and that you love so much yourself, and it's not just because she's the object of his affection, but you just enjoy her for the character that she is, shows how good of writing it is for Topanga.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Which is also
I
another
agree.
reason. Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Another reason why Boy Meets World is miles ahead of Girl Meets World, because in Boy Meets World, Topanga was a great female character who was written well. In Girl Meets World, she was just the mom.
Yeah, that sucks.
She deserved better.
Yeah,
yes.
she did.
As we're talking, okay, I agree. You've changed my mind, Corey and Sean, because there were times that I was like, okay, they changed their timeline. Have you been in love since you were 2 or 11, right? But then they did all this, like he hated her at first in those episodes, right? The beginning, he like thought he was the weirdest person alive. And then all of a sudden he's like madly in love with her. And sometimes it's over the top.
Yeah.
So you're right. I agree. Sean and Corey are more stable.
So let's talk about Sean and Corey.
Yeah.
What a great relationship. And like looking at both Corey and Sean, it's really funny to look how they change, because Corey changes a little bit, but Sean has the arc of the show. Sure, the whole show is about Corey introduced to this world and figuring out his place in it, but really the biggest arc comes from Sean, because he goes from being that crazy, that rebel type kid and that doesn't have the stable home life and a little bit of the doofy best friend to being a big heart of this show. And a large portion of that is due to how he interacts with Corey and how Corey rubs off on him, and the stable life that Corey has at home, and how he's able to take the same love he gets at home and share it with Sean and invite Sean to be like he was a member of the family in the first place.
Yeah. Like one of the simplest things is like they're at Chubby's and Corey has a burger and he says, "You want half? It's how the poor survive." You know? And it's like they never judge each other, or they were always friends no matter what. Even though Sean was from the trailer park and Corey was like from the suburbs. And there were times when Sean was like, we can't be friends. We're too different. And Corey's always like, no, who cares? We're still friends.
Yeah. And there were definitely the episodes, not too many of them, but there were some episodes where it did show how Corey just didn't quite understand that world, but that he didn't let that be an excuse for Sean, because there is a way as human beings that we can stay in that kind of world if we're born into it, or if someone believes in us, we can realize we can do more, we can be destined for more, and we can, instead of let life happen to us, we can make our choices to influence our own lives.
Yeah, he basically, you're right, his husband. Like always cheering him on and like not judging and loving him no matter what. Not that obviously you can't say, obviously friends do that, but they were like, just all the things you said. Good job. I can't say it better. That's true.
Yeah. I was trying to look it up quick, but I couldn't. I believe I've read, and I can't. This was going to be trivia, but I can't find it. I think there's only 2 episodes in the entire 7-year run that don't have any Sean and Corey scenes.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought he's in every single one. So
I think though they are in every episode. I think there's 2 episodes that don't have any scenes with those 2 together.
What about the honeymoon episode? Because that would be one. Because I know that the only people in that are Corey, Topanga, and Eric.
Oh, that would be one. And is the other one? I want to say it's the weird like World War II flashback one where Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch like brought him back in time.
Yes, but what is Sean? Is that the one where he lives in France and thinks he's someone else?
Yeah, that was a weird one. Every time they do a weird time travel episode, they do them every couple of years. They did the 50s one, they did that one, they did like the one where it's like the 40s.
Yeah, the murder mystery with Topanga.
That one and the war one.
And then there's the one where they're in the 50s, and it's Shanzi
That's
Hunterelli.
right.
You gave me
the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, that's the same.
No, there's 3 of them. Because this one is in season 5 because they go to war because Jack's in that one.
And Jack brings the picture of Eric and puts it in the trench,
like,
and everyone's looking at it like, it's just my roommate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that episode and the honeymoon, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, are the only 2 episodes that don't have any scenes with Corey and Sean sharing a scene. Unless you count Corey making a coconut Sean head.
No, I do not count that, sir. Don't you dare try and cheat with coconuts.
I want to know who created those, because those were impressive. That Mr. Feeney one was real good.
That was.
That's talent there.
Yeah. I really, it's such a good relationship, and it's a hard line to balance too, because like if you did it today, it would be, I feel like, an even more difficult line to balance, because there's ways that Corey, even though they're both white, there's ways that Corey's like that white savior type where it's like, I'm better than you because of my station in life, and every now and then it hits on that. That is like, that has to at least be addressed a couple of times. So they do in a few episodes.
Like even early on when he gets Sean a basketball for Christmas, that was like his expensive present, and Sean's like, I don't want your charity.
Yeah, but Corey doesn't so naive. He doesn't see it that way. He doesn't think he's a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way that like he grows in it, and that's why it's good that they address it, to be like, yeah, what you mean for good kind of comes off as pretentious.
Yeah, for sure. So. They're the friends goals that everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
I think my favorite dynamic of that with them, honestly, is the episode that Disney didn't ever show in syndication, the one where Corey starts getting drunk and experiments with drinking, and Alan blames Sean for it. And then Alan realizes later in the episode of like how unfair that was for him to jump to that conclusion. And like Alan very contritely apologizes to Sean, and that was like, I never should have been that way, and I don't view you as that.
That's such a good episode.
It is a good episode. This is a good show.
Yeah. I'm gonna go watch it again now. I just series, but I did it too soon. I should have.
Well, I'm rewatching along with the Pod Meets World podcast. I'm a couple behind, but I'm listening to that one.
I've started watching so many rewatch podcasts, and then I try to do that, and I can't. I just like them too much. I can't stop.
I am addicted to them. There's a new one coming out called Even More Stevens.
Oh, jeez.
But I just binge the whole shows. I can't stop at one episode. That's crazy.
I can if it's with a rewatch podcast. It's with Ren, Donnie, and Beans from Even Stevens.
Donnie and
Ren, Donnie, the older brother, and Beans, the little kid.
Oh yeah. I love that show. That was
so
a good
it's
one.
Those 3.
I listened to How I Met Your Podcast, the Outwit, Outpod, Outlast podcast, the dang it, Star Trek, The Next Podcast Ration.
You're joking, but any of these could turn into real at any time.
100%. I'm sure there's a Survivor podcast with actual people who have been on Survivor.
It's called Rob as a Podcast. It's been going for 10 years.
There you go. I figured.
I do all mine because they'll make fun of me, but that's.
I listen to them too.
That's true.
You and I listen to the same podcasts.
That's probably true. You don't listen to One Tree Hill though. I'm sure.
I don't.
How dare you, Brian?
The only thing I know about One Tree Hill is that it had Minkus.
Yes, which is I think why I like him so much more in Boy Meets World, because I see the character he became, and he's such a good actor.
Yeah.
Someone spoiled One Tree Hill for me by telling me if the tree survived at the end of the show or not.
But did the hill?
It's there's only one tree. It's actually a U2 song or something like that. It's like look it up. Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about Joshua Tree? Because that's a U2 song.
Some famous song that takes place that's in Tree Hill, Australia, or something. I think it's a YouTube song.
I was gonna wait to watch that show, but I don't want to wait for our lives to get
That's a different one.
That's not that song?
No, it's Dawson's Creek.
That's right.
Which is like the same thing, but before that. I was like a little too ahead of my time.
I like the joke of that where it's like we all know that Beverly Hills zip code is 90210, but you know what the zip code of Dawson's Creek is? 90108. For
Yeah.
our lives to be over.
I just did a puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle, and it's amazing. It's about 90s TV shows. It had Dawson's Creek, Boy Meets World, Seinfeld, Third Rock from the Sun, 90210, like all you name it from the 90s, it was on there.
I might have the same puzzle.
You do?
That's 100%. I think I do.
Does it
I'll
have
take a picture of it.
Quantum Leap in the bottom left corner?
It has Quantum Leap on it. It's been a while since I put it together. I got it like last year.
I got mine for Christmas this past year.
I also have from the same makers. I've got like one from the 80s, and it's just all these 80s like nostalgia stuff.
Yeah, I would love if they made a puzzle like that about 2000s shows, because that would be my jam.
Yeah.
Or shows. That was good.
Yeah.
You know, right. Is go to 90s con together, because I've never been to a con, and I feel like you people will be the people to go with.
We already went to a con together.
You did?
With a guy named Mike. I think you know Mike.
Mike Campbell.
Yeah.
That was like, what, 7 years ago? 8 years ago?
Yeah. Something
what
like
did
that.
You tell me?
It was a Comic Con in the cities.
It was a Wizard Con.
Wizard Con.
We saw the late JDF.
What is that? I don't know what that means.
Jason David Frank, the Green Power Ranger.
Oh, well, I was like Harry Potter, like just a bunch of famous wizards, or what?
We talked to Lou Ferrigno. We saw
Adam Baldwin.
Oh yeah, we talked to Adam Baldwin. Adam Baldwin is awesome.
Yeah, I forget who else was there.
We saw Dean Cain from a distance.
Oh yeah, we
couldn't talk to him.
No,
I don't know.
There's a couple others. Michael Roker was there, but we were like leaving when he got there.
Yeah.
And Nathan Fillion was going to be there like the next day or something like that.
I'm sorry I asked. I know one of the people you just mentioned. I don't know any of those people.
Well, there we go. Hey, let's jump into trivia here. So last week we talked about stand-up comedy. No, that was 2 weeks ago. Last week we talked about classic animated shows. And the question I asked was, back when Disney first started, there was a producer at Universal who was pretty much a villain to Disney and their animated studios, and like was jerks how he treated them. And so which Disney movie has a villain named after that producer? And that is the movie Up.
Gosh.
His the villain of Up is named Charles Muntz, and the producer's name that we're talking about is Charles Mintz. And so they named it after him. I don't know how much other similarities they had with him, but
I don't remember a villain in Up.
He was the explorer who gets caught, like lands in Paradise Falls looking for the big bird, and he can't catch it. He's got all the dogs that can talk.
Not Big Bird, but the Big Bird. His name was Kevin.
Yes, I know what it is.
Yes,
I love that Kevin.
Movie. The snipe is what they call it.
So I have trivia, unless anyone else wants to jump in with one.
No, go for it.
Probably could think of one, but not right now.
Listeners of Pod Meets World will know this, but when they first filmed the pilot of Boy Meets World, the first round, there were two characters who were played by different actors, and then those two were replaced by the actors we know, and who went on to be on the show. So who were the two characters in the pilot who were initially played by different people?
Are you going to tell us when we hang up?
Yeah, when we hang up, yes.
Oh, well, whatever.
We'll hang up the rotary phones, Tammy.
We'll send it to you telepathically.
I'm old, okay?
Yes, Tammy is the oldest one of the three of us.
It's true. You're such an old fart, Tammy.
I know. I'm so old.
Yeah.
Do we get to say who it is, then?
We'll say who it is next time for the listeners. We'll tell you once we're done recording.
So then I have to watch next time. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, don't tell it. We need the clicks. So
yes.
I'm just kidding.
Tammy, thanks for coming back. We've covered some of your favorite shows now. Gilmore Girls and I Met Your Mother. And I don't think we'll ever do a One Tree Hill, so you don't have to worry about joining us for that one.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the One Tree Hill one. I mean, I don't know what I just said. I did How I Met Your Mother. I do love that show.
Oh, did I say How I Met Your Mother? Because I totally meant Boy Meets World. I don't know why.
Yes.
I meant to say Boy Meets World, and somehow How I Met Your Mother came out.
I love that show.
We did an episode about that, but we weren't on it.
You should watch all 9 seasons of One Tree Hill, because it gets real trippy. And you'd have lots to say, though.
Nope. So, until next time.
Them all on DVD if you want.
I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
I'm Tammy.
I'm reminding you to stay tuned and keep watching.